Christian and Brandon. Welcome to Heart of the City.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having
being
us.
here.
Yeah.
Yes. For our listeners that may not know, you two own one of the most fabulous coffee shops in town, Sleepyhead Coffee. Amazing brand, amazing coffee, amazing mission and community. I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
Thank you. Happy to be here. It's our
Good.
first pod, my first pod.
Exciting.
Yes.
Good.
Pod.
First pod, best pod.
Yes.
Okay, let's start with like origin. What were the two of you doing before Sleepyhead?
We were engaged.
We were engaged.
Oh, we're just diving right in.
Bombshell.
I love this. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let's circa how many ever years ago when I was 16, my first job was in coffee. So that's when I actually met Christian. And also when I fell in love with the whole aspect of owning a coffee shop, or the space where people are meeting friends and getting engaged at the coffee shop I used to work at. It was a big deal. So met Christian there. I pivoted what I thought my future would be, which was in fashion design, all for a bigger, greater purpose, and we opened Sleepyhead. But not before I was fired from insurance. Fired from a job that had benefits. I was like, oh, this is what adults do. Let me do it.
Yeah.
And of course, it wasn't for me. And
But you were like barely an adult, right? You were
barely
still a
an adult.
baby.
I mean, like 18, 19,
I mean,
20.
okay.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
deal at the time. But
That is a
also-
big deal.
Because when we met, he was graduating high school. Like, I went to his high school graduation.
Tea.
Wait, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is crazy. So what were you doing before Sleepyhead?
Before Sleepyhead, I was in corporate. I was working for a credit union here in town. Desk job in a cubicle all day. But yeah,
So what made you guys take the leap to start a coffee shop?
It was in 2018, we took a trip to San Francisco, and much like all big cities, coffee carts, food carts, mobile businesses are popular and all over the place on every corner. And so that really inspired us. We came back, and I knew someone that was selling a cart because it's a huge amount of work. And she was selling it, and we were like, oh, we'll buy it. Super cheap. We started in, like I said, 2018, I think September is when we opened.
but maybe
And-
when we bought it, we did not inspect the cart. So, I mean, we were young. We didn't know what we were doing.
No,
So we
not at
bought
all.
this cart. It was a cart on the back of a bicycle. So we were like, oh my God, it's going to be so easy. We can just pedal it around. No.
You're like, no.
And it was black and white, a much different brand than what you know today.
Yeah, and the motor did not work on it. So,
Oh, there's that.
yeah.
And we quickly realized why there aren't coffee carts in Chattanooga, or weren't at the time, because the health inspections and different rules and regulations prevented us from just biking around the city selling coffee like it should have gone. But that's okay, because we happened upon our space on Broad Street. We were like, hey, we want to park the bike out front around lunchtime or in the morning, let your
Smart. Yeah.
tenants come down and get coffee. And they showed us an empty unit that they had, and that's where we've been for 6.5 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. That's insane. Okay. Love that.
Worked out.
It always does.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you've already broken the ice on the engagement and the history here beyond just business partners, so were there any reservations going into starting a business with someone you were dating or engaged to? I mean, did you ever think twice?
I don't think at the time.
We weren't old enough to think about that. We were like, this is what we want to do. And I think that was the pro of starting a business at 18 and 19 years old, is that, or well, I guess 19 and 20, is that you don't really consider all that's at stake.
Yeah.
You just go for it.
I think that's when we really started brainstorming. I think when Broad Street opened, we were like 23 and 21. But it's so funny because before that, we were like, okay, we're going to open a food truck. And then we opened the cart. But we were like on all of these restaurants, websites that you could like buy used restaurant equipment on. And they were like auctioning it off. So we were buying all this like crap equipment.
At one point, my mom's attic was full of auction
Just junk,
coffee
junk
equipment.
that we
God.
couldn't use. Like we didn't know
Yeah.
that it wasn't like really things that we couldn't use. We were like, we're buying all this stuff. We're gonna stock this coffee truck. It's gonna be amazing. And then
So you were still like buying for the truck, like you didn't even
Yeah.
have like the space in mind yet.
no,
Right.
and we didn't even have a truck.
Yeah.
Just a dream and 2 little kids
Oh,
making
this
it
is
work. We
sweet.
did have a small $5,000 credit card. So
Oh, okay.
when you're 19 years old, that goes a long way.
Yeah, that feels
We
like a
were
million.
so
Yes.
rich.
Yeah,
We were
you guys
rich.
are rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, so was the breakup amicable?
Yes, there wasn't necessarily drama.
Okay.
I think much like COVID ended many relationships, it also ended ours. But you know, what came of it is way better than what would have been if we stayed together.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned earlier, everything has a purpose, you know, and obviously we were meant to be together during that
that
time of
time,
our
yeah.
lives. And we had this beautiful, amazing coffee shop from it and still agree on everything. Well, that's a lie. Still
was
agree
gonna
on
say,
some
wait,
things,
wait.
you know,
Heard
but
it's
see
arguable.
eye to eye for the most part with the coffee shop. And that's really what we did best and do best.
Yeah,
So,
that's so true. So
It
how
was,
did you?
It was hard.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
there
sure.
were tears shed. I mean, sometimes
sure.
during shift, I would go to the bathroom and just like cry my eyes out. But it's like, this is what needed to happen. We figured
Yeah.
out that we were better at co-owning a business together rather than being in a relationship romantically. We just weren't a fit in that department.
So did you
that's fine.
did you think about parting ways like business wise when you broke up?
yes, because we thought it would be harder than it was,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like most people would have just been like, sorry,
Yeah.
bye, I got to get out of here.
No,
jump
I feel like
ship.
you guys took the hard way. Yeah.
But, you know, it's because we both believed in it a lot and still do. And its potential is already reaching way further than it did then, but has so much more to grow. And there's just
Yeah.
so many places that we're going to take it. So I think we knew that then, and that's maybe why we
Yeah.
held on, despite it being really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate? Like I'm trying to think about going through a breakup and then still having to communicate like almost every day with a business partner and like still be in the weeds and be on the front end of starting a business still. Like you guys were still on the uphill battle side of things. Like
Yeah.
take me back to those days. Like how did you navigate that? How did you put emotions aside and like just get business done? I mean, clearly maybe some emotions were had in the bathroom, but yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily a super emotional person. I kind of hide it all. But also during that time, we had 2 employees at that time. So we had to kind of like break the news to them. So it's like we had to be strong because they were about to go through a change, seeing their bosses totally reconstruct their relationships with one
Yeah.
another.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We kind of just put that aside and focused on the actual building of the business.
And like I mentioned, that was during COVID. And to be honest, I don't remember much during
It is a
COVID.
blur.
2020, end of 2019, 2020. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how we did it.
Yeah, and there were so many things going on. Like at that time, I think we were also renovating the shop at Broad Street.
You know what we did to cope besides some nights out?
Spent
Because
a
I'm
lot of
young
money.
I mean,
and spending money, whatever, but which are healthy compared to some coping mechanisms.
Correct.
We just pushed harder for Sleepyhead. Like we were also working on our first ever merch launch. There were things that were taking our mind off of what was going on between the two of us back home that we could focus on. And I think that kind of benefited Sleepyhead
Totally.
and our growth.
totally.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
think
I'm
that's
so
one of my
impressed with
coping
you guys.
mechanisms, and yours too probably, is just working harder.
So do you think dating each other or being together has helped you in business to some degree? Like, do you feel like you guys know more about each other and like have navigated almost like better because you knew each other so deeply?
I think so.
I think so. There's
Yeah.
no way. I don't think I would have something like Sleepyhead with some random person, a friend even that
Yeah.
I, met and formed a bond with. I
Yeah.
don't think that could have been possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this was the only way to get this outcome.
Yeah, and I mean, prior to Sleepyhead, we had already been together for 4 years. Mm-hmm. So like we knew each other, and that can be a great upside. But like now, it can also be kind of a negative because
Totally.
we know exactly the things that get each other. But it's also cool because like we can very often pitch ideas. It's like we kind of like live in each other's minds.
Christian will pitch an idea
part-time.
to me that he knows I'm going to shoot down.
Oh,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? Just to kind of like test it and see if I've changed since, last week.
And he'll just be like, absolutely not.
But that's one of the things, having like such a longer relationship, whether professional or personal, is like something you know about that person. And
Totally. You're just
works.
willing to go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not afraid. So who moved on first? Oh, Christian. Okay. Was that hard,
Would you
Brandon?
disagree?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, I forgot. Tell us more.
You've blocked out.
I blacked out.
You
I'm,
fell
like,
asleep for like
trying
2
to
years.
think. I don't know. I moved out
Okay.
You moved out
First.
first.
Okay.
mostly because I just was like, I have to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And I moved across the street
Oh.
before moving back to the same hallway in the same building that we lived
Where he
in,
lives now with his
where I
current
still
partner.
live. Yes,
Yes.
that's my
But
current
you're not
partner.
there anymore.
No.
Okay.
Imagine we're
But
neighbors.
Wow.
Right. Well, I finished the lease out at the
Okay.
apartment and
Makes
then
sense.
moved on.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so
Wow. That's crazy. Okay. So what would you say? What advice would you give to like a young couple thinking about starting a business together?
Just do it with caution. I mean, it's no different than starting a business with anyone. Like, look at it as starting a business with your best friend. Like, you have to realize that there's going to be a lot of toll and a lot of impact that business has on your relationship, whether you're in a relationship romantically, whether you're best friends, whether you're doing it with your parents. Business is hard.
and you have to constantly remind yourself why you're doing it. And if your why is because you want to open a successful coffee shop in 2 months and leave and travel the world with your partner, then maybe you should reconsider. Because it takes a lot of time in the shop,
Yeah.
at home, behind your computer. You know, there's just a lot of work. So you have to be super passionate about it, regardless of if you're alone or with your partner. I think it's better if you're with your partner doing it, because you have that person to lean on and cry to and
Yeah.
get mad with. And
Wow. That's sweet.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so as two gay men opening a business in the South, like, was there any hesitancy on that front? Like, did you ever have like fear, or were you just totally brave from the get-go? Tell me about that aspect.
I think it's, again, us being young and dumb. You know what I mean? Like,
I think there's beauty to that.
we after high school. So I grew up in North Georgia, a smaller town than Chattanooga, and moving to Chattanooga, we were together and we felt more accepted here than where we both grew up, which is different places in North Georgia. So moving here kind of gave me the confidence to just be loud and proud about who I am. Although at the time looked different than maybe it does now or whatever. But we, from the start, our first event with the cart was Chattanooga Pride, because we were forever going to be like loud and proud about what we stand for, who we are. And if you don't like it, then you're not our customer, and that's
Yeah.
okay. There's been, of course, some things happen in the world since that we're kind of like, oh, let's, make sure to tread lightly on certain topics just to avoid being targets for, whatever.
Totally.
But I don't think it's scary. And I think it's important for us in the South, like, again, growing up and being in a high school that was no one looked or acted like me, to be honest. I wish I could go back and be in high school again the way I am, because it would
Be
be so
yourself,
fun.
yeah.
Be myself, yeah.
And probably like rally the others.
Rally
that you
the
know are
others,
around
form
you.
my little
Yeah.
community at high school. But growing up, I was kind of, I wanted to be from a big city. I wanted to move to a big city the minute I graduated. And I was like, oh, fashion design. I'm going to go to SCAD. I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to, live this big dream because it's so far from where I grew up. But now I appreciate being from a small town because it's important for Sleepyhead to exist, and for us to create the community that is here, just maybe feels silenced or, scared to really come out and be themselves. So
That's
Yeah.
so
And,
beautiful.
it's almost better being from the South.
Certain initiatives that we have launched in the shop, even as small as hanging a pride flag at our Broad Street location. I mean, that was a full conversation that we had because we were like, are our windows going to get busted out? It's a fear. And even with your partner, and this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Brandon and I directly, but just walking down the street, holding hands with your partner, that's something that we have to do and initiate. It doesn't necessarily come naturally. Because
And also, it shouldn't
who's
feel
gonna
like that's a
yell
brave,
slurs?
we're so brave because we're holding hands. Come on, but it does. It kind of feels like, oh.
Oh, I think you
little
are.
scary.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I mean,
But yeah, and then the pride flag thing isn't because, some people look at it and they're like, oh, that's nice. They're accepting there. But then other people look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, I can go in there, and I can
Yeah.
enjoy my time in there and escape
yeah,
outside life.
totally.
And we've had customers come to us and say that, they're so appreciative of even a little flag being in a plant or whatever because they
so
feel
sweet.
comfortable there. And
Yeah,
So the community response has been nothing but good.
great.
yeah.
Great. I love that. Go Chattanooga. Have you guys experienced any discrimination or disrespect for your sexual preferences?
Here and there, but nothing crazy.
I don't think I know.
There's not any specific instance at the
I know
shop
that
or
there.
anything.
We
or
had
your
one bad
employees?
Google review talking about how of course, they brought in politics because the pride flag is apparently political, whatever. And they left a negative review because they were unhappy that we were proud, I guess, and confident in ourselves, and maybe they weren't. There was that instance, but it was removed because Google wasn't having it.
Nice.
Thank you, girl. Yes. But there haven't been, again, I think I'm just blind to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's best. Chattanooga is a bubble
Yeah.
in Tennessee and in the South, and I'm very grateful
Yeah.
to be here and to have started this here. Because despite us being in this bubble, like I said, growing up in North Georgia was very different. And those people come to the shop, you know?
Right.
So although I feel very safe in Chattanooga, it's maybe not the same story that people have.
It's a stone's throw
Down
from
the
places
road,
that
yeah.
maybe aren't as safe. Yeah, totally.
And Chattanooga's changed a lot in the last 10 years since we've been here.
For sure.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's been a very good response.
good. Would you say your customer base like holistically shares your values, or do you feel like coffee's kind of an equalizer that you see a lot of different walks of life coming and going?
We see a lot of people.
You know, when we first opened, it seemed like everyone was kind of exactly like us. You know what I mean? They were either business people downtown coming in for a quick, convenient cup of coffee, or they were coming out of their way because they aligned with our values. But now with our shop on Main and Dodds, it's kind of like we see everyone. And that's beautiful because we are a space for everyone, you
That's
know?
so
And regardless of your views and beliefs, I may agree or disagree, you're welcome at Sleepyhead, you know? So it's nice to
Wow.
see all types of people.
And especially from someone who maybe has been hurt or discriminated against or feels not seen. That's really beautiful that you're still so accepting of so many different
Well, I
people
mean,
if they
it's
don't
like-
share your values. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get along with my family over Christmas and
Totally.
Thanksgiving. So why can I not get along
Yeah.
with these people over a cup of coffee?
Called a pageant wave.
And that's
Yeah.
that's something that we've had to teach our team as well, because our number one thing is customer service.
Yeah.
You can get good coffee at many places, but to walk in somewhere and not feel like you belong, that's our most important. Like that's something that we value heavily. So like when people don't necessarily look at life the same way that we do, we've taught our employees first things first, and it's customer service. It doesn't matter if you agree with them or not, or
That's amazing.
it doesn't matter. We're going to treat everyone with respect, unless they're like outwardly and blatantly disrespecting you.
course.
Then we're all here to do the same thing, and that's enjoy the time spent in the shop.
Coffee and community and slowing down. Like that's what Sleepyhead's about, slowing down.
love that.
You know, everyone loves convenience. And although coming to Sleepyhead is sometimes inconvenient, you're forced to slow down. You know, you're
Totally.
forced to engage with our amazing baristas behind the bar. You know, it's not us, but we've kind of curated or hired these
You have.
incredible people. And so, you know, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Coming in, regardless of who you are, just engage with our baristas, be nice, be respectful, and slow down.
I love that. Okay, let's dive into some like business talk now. So do you guys split ownership 50-50? Mm-hmm. Okay. How has that been?
I work 80, he works 20.
I
So it
knew
works
this was
out.
coming
It
up.
works out just
I
fine.
was like, I don't even have to put a question in here about this.
No, you
Christian's
said
gonna
you're bringing
throw
up
it
like
in.
businessy topics. I'm like, okay, am I free to go?
You're like, Christian? That's funny.
He is
Okay,
definitely
so
the-
tell me about that dynamic. Like, Christian's a little bit more the business core, and then Brandon, what would you say? Like, what's the division of
just
labor here?
Look good and
You're just
make
beautiful.
a coffee. Yeah,
no,
No,
shut
we-
up.
we both
You
do a
guys are
lot of
both
work.
amazing.
We do a lot of
Yes,
work. Here's the
yes.
thing. Christian takes initiative on certain things, or did from the start.
Okay.
So when we broke up, that was when we were like, okay, now we have to actually divide tasks, and we have to figure this out. And there's a lot of tasks.
And at that time, Sleepyhead was still like a hobby.
so small. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now it's become like an actual business.
Yeah.
So it's like there's accounting, there's there's social media.
And our
have
team has grown,
employees.
so now
Yes.
there's different tasks delegated to them, like people in
Yes.
management and stuff like that. So I have always cared, even before Sleepyhead, like forever, I've cared about a good brand and a good vision and a good space that's cohesive and aesthetic. And that's just what I appreciate. That's where
Yes.
I'm visiting when I'm out of town. You know, I'm going to those shops. And so I've always pulled inspiration from those different places. And I think that maybe shows at Sleepyhead. You too. I mean, you appreciate those things. But I kind of took it upon myself to focus more on marketing and
Yes.
like visuals and vibe. Whereas Christian is
I'm going to keep
having
the lights
worked
on.
at the credit
Making
union.
sure
Yes.
the shop is running.
Having
Yeah.
worked at a credit union, you're just well, and even in our relationship was better with money and like
Yeah.
more careful
Yeah.
There's always
and
one.
frugal.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we've always said this, but Brandon is more the dreamer and I'm more the realist, where he has great ideas, but sometimes I'm like, okay, let's bring it back here to reality.
I just sometimes
And
need the
then we'll get
funds.
there.
So if
Yeah.
there's an investor out there that wants
Come on,
to
Daddy.
Venmo me bank transfer.
It also shares our values and
Yeah.
yeah.
And has a lot of pink and green in their wardrobe.
Lots
Lots.
of pink and green have to, yes.
But yeah,
That's awesome. No, I kind of assumed that was the case, but I love that. And I think that's what makes you guys a strong team. That's awesome.
It does work out. It's a good balance.
What are some of the like silliest fights you guys have had?
Every day.
Tell me.
I don't even know.
Tell me the tea.
I mean, we have office days on Thursdays with
Okay.
like our general manager and then us two. And most of those days from 8 to 4 is an argument.
Not an argument, but it's kind of like, what was the most recent one? About hiring someone, or was it about our cups, our custom cups?
Well, yeah.
So, big things coming. They're not probably big to anyone else listening or watching, but we're always constantly like upgrading and updating stuff at the shop.
Yeah.
I mean, in the meantime, until shop 3, 4, 5, what are we going to do besides fill all these gaps that can make our brand even better?
Totally.
So we're getting some things, some custom paper products, which is like a huge deal for me and was a massive push on my end to convince Christian to do it. So I think that was like for the
Well, it's
past
been 2
several
years.
months.
You've been trying to convince me for 2 years.
Yes, but it's finally
Wow.
happening. So works.
Okay.
Arguments work.
And see, this is the beauty. This is
Yeah.
why it works.
So-
Okay, so you mentioned
There's always
like
something.
3, 4, and 5. Are there visions of expanding, franchising? Tell me that. Tell me the
Okay,
vision.
flashback to when he said I'm the dreamer and he's more realistic.
He just rolled his
So-
eyes.
I'm like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
No.
There are ideas in the works. There's some very tentative things happening.
Okay.
Like Brandon said, we're getting ready to release like all new paper products. So all of our to-go cups in the shops will be changing over to like custom stuff, which is, like Brandon said, something that's been on the horizon for the last 2 years, but it's just very expensive.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how expensive these things are. And you like have to order in bulk and you have to order enough cups for an entire year. So it's just
Gosh.
very
And for a little coffee shop, I know we have 2 locations, but a coffee shop is not a restaurant or a bar or a lawyer.
No.
The expenses is
Yeah.
detrimental.
I mean, a third of what we bring in a week goes straight to payroll.
Wow.
So, and like people don't truly realize
Yeah.
how anything in the restaurant industry, anything in food and beverage, is not super highly profitable.
Yeah.
And you really have to figure out how to make sure that your funds and your money is going to the best things possible so the business can grow.
Yeah. That's
But
super
once we
insightful.
fill all these gaps like that, just different small things that are making us
Yeah.
better, I think then it'll be time for natural progression, which would be shop 3, where we're having a larger kitchen for baking. We offer more food. We roast coffee, just certain
Yeah.
things. Right
Roasting is definitely
On the
our
horizon.
next step.
I love that.
Because we partner with Brandywine and have pretty much since the start, and they're amazing. They're a small company in Wilmington, Delaware. You can't find it anywhere else except Sleepyhead, which is why we chose
That's
them.
awesome.
And they're great to work with. But
It's
just
not
naturally, we
in-house.
will
Yeah.
eventually do that in-house.
Yeah. That's so exciting. Okay, we're gonna do some like rapid fire fun questions. Who makes the better latte?
Probably Brandon.
Period. Okay, but I can't pour a swan, so
That's right.
taste me, visual him.
Okay, wow, the
Hmm.
dream team, literally. What are your go-to coffee orders?
Cold brew, black cold brew.
Same.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Mine's over
people
there on the table.
people will come in to the shop and be like, "Oh my god, so if I were you, what would I get today?" And I'm like, "Well, you've asked the wrong person because,
Because
it'd be
it's the
black cold
cheapest,
brew."
most boring thing on the menu.
I mean, I can definitely convince people the
But-
most expensive
Yeah,
drink on the menu is the
exactly.
best, but
Current
All the
on the
add-ons.
summer menu. We've never had a summer menu before. This is the first year.
Ooh.
The brown sugar banana latte.
Oh, I want to try that. Yum.
yeah,
good.
everyone's loving it. I had
Okay.
a sip of it. It's pretty
Okay,
good.
it's coming
really
in.
good. I need some cold brew.
Okay, what's one customer behavior you secretly can't stand, even if it's petty?
Okay, how much time do we have?
Yeah, I knew this would be good.
No, I'm trying to think. Oh,
I have
God,
two off the top of my head.
Okay,
Okay.
go.
One, when people come into Main Street and ask if/where the bathroom is, and I'm like, there's truly one option.
There's one door.
It's,
True, at that location.
There's only one option.
There's no like other hallways or anything.
Right.
and I'm like, just open those eyes. But we get past that. Another one, and this is truly a big pet peeve of mine, is when people come in and ask for donations and they've never been a customer.
Oh, that's gross.
Here's the thing. We love supporting people that support us and
Yep.
even organizations that we align
Yep.
with. Obviously, hello.
Yep.
We're going to put our money to good use.
Yeah.
But if it's some random softball team I've never heard of, no offense, but probably
no,
not.
it's not that. It's
Yeah.
not in
And
alignment.
like we're all about sewing into the community, but at the end of the day, we are a business.
Yes.
All the
And
softball
we have-
parents are going to like come at us.
Yeah. we'd be like,
No,
Sleepyhead.
unfollow.
you all are very big.
But yeah, it's
givers.
just like if you want, like it's just a mutual respect thing. I
Yeah.
will support you, but if you've never been in to support our business, it's just kind of weird.
Okay, wait, I have one more. I
Yeah.
told you, do we have time?
No, we have time.
When you order a large iced matcha and you pick up a small hot latte from the bar and then bring it back to me and say, was this my matcha? No,
Oh.
girl. Clearly not.
Oh.
That happens often.
Are
very
you
often.
joking? And then
Often.
that one's ruined, so you have to remake that
Correct.
one.
Yeah, and I'm remaking
And then
like
if
4 drinks.
yes,
Then
and then if you were the person this past weekend, they picked up the wrong drink again.
Oh,
yeah, Courtney had that situation.
My dude,
So anyways,
short-term memory loss, or like what's
I don't
happening?
know. I don't know.
dealing with customers is my favorite and least favorite part.
Yeah. The general public can be so great, and like that's why we opened Sleepyhead, obviously. But good lord,
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. When did you realize Sleepyhead was working? Like, was there a moment or an instance you guys like looked at each other or texted each other and you were like, we're gonna be successful. Like, this is working.
Trying to think what moment it was. 'cause it
I
definitely
think
was felt.
when other coffee shop owners that had been established for a lot longer than Sleepyhead started showing their face in the shops and like monetarily supporting Sleepyhead.
Wow.
And I was like, that's a big thing because already the coffee community in Chattanooga is kind of spotty. It's just like everyone is trying to get customers. So when we started noticing support from other coffee shops, that was a big deal. Or like
That's a huge
you would go
compliment.
into other coffee shops and hear people like recommending, have you guys been to Sleepyhead? Or hear customers like ask the people at the counter, where would you recommend in Chattanooga? And you hear someone working at this other coffee shop say Sleepyhead.
Hearing someone talk about Sleepyhead, yeah.
Yeah.
Or being at the car wash yesterday and seeing someone in a Sleepyhead hat and I'm in a Sleepyhead hat and I was like, wait.
Wait, that's so cute. That's,
So that's
awesome.
fun. Or my friend being in the Denver airport and a flight attendant seeing her Sleepyhead shirt and being like, oh my God, I love that coffee shop.
Yeah.
That's when it's like,
Wait,
Yeah,
guys, that's
when I was
huge.
That
working
was
in
a big deal,
fitness,
actually.
I had someone tell me that they were on a flight to Spain and saw someone on the plane with a Sleepyhead shirt on.
Okay,
that's a
wow.
big deal.
So crazy.
Merch is
That's-
important.
Yeah, you guys have slayed the merch. Okay, final question. I want you to fill in the blank. The heart of Sleepyhead is
People.
Yeah, community.
awesome.
People behind the bar and people that come in the shop. I know we just kind of roasted a lot of them,
I
but
know only a
it's
few.
genuinely who we are. For
I
real.
love
The
it.
fabric of Sleepyhead is our people and the people that support us.
I love it. I can't wait to see where you guys go. Happy Pride, and thank you so
Happy
much for
Pride.
being on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Sweet.